Hi everyone, it's Justin here, Voices for Voices. Thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're watching, listening, here in the United States or across the world, we are grateful to have you with us. Thank you for making Voices for Voices the show, the organization, what we are and will continue to be from now into the future. If you could do us a big favor and give us big thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share, reshare, repost, uh, even pull out your phone. And if you're on your phone, if you can head on over to your contacts and reach out and let them know and share the Voices for Voices podcast and TV show. And as you know, and as they will know, they can find the Voices for Voices podcast anywhere they find their podcast, or they get their podcast at, they can get their Voices for Voices podcast at. Thank you for joining us on this journey to help and reach and help at least 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. And it's because of you that we're here. So we're grateful, just very grateful. It's really humbling. Um, this episode is going to it's going to be a little bit rougher. Uh, it's as the organization, right? We're founded and the big foundation of mental health and and trauma recovery, etc. Um, one of one of the things that I'm finding or have found in one time or another, it's really just starting to crystallize in my mind is help. Help can be defined in a lot of different ways and a lot of different methods. Again, goosebumps just thinking about this because it's hitting very near and dear to me uh, at this time. And I go back for me to 2017, and right, you've heard my journey and story, and if not, we have over 530 episodes that you'll be able to get that, and we have specific episodes. So just do a search, and be able to find uh, that. And so I got help, mental health wise. That that meant that I needed to spend some time in the hospital to be seen by the psychiatric staff uh, and help get back on my journey of life. And it was by no means perfect. Nothing's perfect, as we know. But it was nothing easy. Not at all. The decisions, the questions that were asked, uh, on the surface, it may seem like they're easy, like, oh, well, that, that's easy. You just answer like this. Well, it, I like to say this. It's always easy when you're not the one that is faced with the questions, right? That's like a bystander effect. You see something happen, you see a fight, you see something, you just keep going. You don't dial 911, you don't try to stop it, you just keep on walking. And so it's kind of like a little bit of the same thing of nothing's happening. I'm just going to keep walking and get past this. And so, yeah, that's the bystander effect. And you just see people, small amount of people or a large amount of people, just keep on walking. Like, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to be drug into this. I don't want this. I don't want that. And so when I was being asked questions, I was like, I'm not one of these people. I don't need the help. I don't want to take medication if that's an option, if that's offered to me. I feel like I was allergic to everything I was eating. And so there was a host, a myriad of different questions I was being asked. And at that point, after 3 ER visits in 2 weeks, multiple doctor tests on top of that, they all said, "Hey, you're not dying, so we can release you." And I don't say that tongue in cheek. I just say that because that's what was said to me. Like, you're not dying right now, so we can release you. And so it was only on that third visit where the psychiatric staff came in and then they started to piece things together. And then I was given a decision. I can walk, all the tests are good. I can leave. I can leave the emergency room. Or there's a bed in one of the psychiatric wings. It just means like a part of the hospital. And and so I had the opportunity to just walk out, or I had the opportunity to voluntarily admit myself and juxtapose that with being told, okay, you're you're being what they call pink slipped, meaning that the hospital's overruling and you need or I need the help, I need the care, whatever that may be. Maybe that includes medication, maybe not. Luckily, I did it voluntarily. And so I would say nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Looking at all the different therapies, all the different medication and medication changes, and just that whole time in my life, I think I was a pretty good patient, I guess. They'd come by, doctors, nurses, they would come by or have us come to the desk and um, for medication, they would call our name and then we go up and so did I want to be there? No. Did I feel I needed to be there? Yes. That's two different things. I didn't want to be there, but on the same sense of I probably needed to be there. And so that's why when there was different medications that were St. Alfred, we're talking about the legal medications. Yeah, I would take it. And so there's help like that. And then there's another side. So instead of being the person that is getting the treatment, getting the help, the inpatient, stay at the hospital voluntarily, and not just voluntarily, but the medication I was, I know, I was going along with the program. I was like, okay, well, the staff knows best, so I'm going to take the medication that they have prescribed for me while I'm here. And so now I back out of that situation and you take a person, one of my roommate, not one of them, the roommate I had while I was there in the hospital, the inpatient stay. We both got out about around the same day, I think. Went home and then the first therapy, the first group therapy out of the hospital, we were there for at least a day or two. And then and then he was back or he was gone. He was there, then he was gone, meaning he wasn't at the group therapy, and then he came back and then he was there. And then he was caught he wasn't there towards the very end of me being there. And when he came back, the one from him being there to not there to being back, he said he got pink slipped, which basically, I talked about voluntary, voluntarily. Like, I don't want to do this, but I'm gonna go along with it because people, professionals think that I need it. And so the roommate, he said he got pink slip, which meant he was involuntarily admitted, which meant the hospital deemed him. I don't know the specific language, but he didn't do it on his own. The staff at the hospital said, okay, you need to come and we need to work on whatever they were working on. And he was taking his medication. He was don't need his ass, but he's just still going through some rough things. But he was asking, he was recognizing that, and he was getting the help that he needed. But then there's sometimes individuals that don't want to go voluntarily, so they go involuntary, like he had done. It's called a pink slip. I don't know if the slip is actually pink. I don't know. That's just a terminology. So that is being admitted to a psychiatric part of a hospital uh, against your will. Say like I don't have any rights, and that like for that period of time, the person doesn't have the same rights as they would have being voluntary, or where I was like, all right, I don't want to, but I need to. I And so I did it, and so he did it, I think, my roommate, he did voluntarily the first time, and the second time it was pink slip, so it was involuntary. But he was still taking his medication though. So it was kind of, I don't say it's like half and half, but kind of like half and half, where he realized I probably need more help, so I'm gonna go to the hospital. And the hospital saw that he needed more help, and so that's what they deemed at that point. And so that's why they involuntarily brought him in. And I don't think he was against it. I don't know. I like we didn't get that deep in the conversations at those therapy sessions because like I'm worried, we're all worried about ourselves, right? We're how we're feeling, how we're doing. And so when we would have like a little bit of a break, conversations would be pretty short. Um, most of them would be like, "Oh, I'm taking this medication, I'm taking that medication," or "I was just told today that I'm done with this therapy tomorrow," or those were like the conversations we would have. And so he was accepting the help at a certain level, like, all right, well, I know I need medication, so it, that's different to go for me where I was voluntarily admitted where I had the choice to a pink slip. You don't have the choice. You're going in, and then when you're pink slipped or not pink slip, if there's medication involved, they want you to take it. And so if somebody is pink slipped, meaning you need to be in, you need to spend some time with the psych staff and do some therapy and get some sleep without phones, without core things that we could hurt ourselves with. Um, so then there's that pink slip, and then there's a pink slip, and then not or pink slipped and not taking your medication. Probably the worst two, probably the worst combination, worst two things that I know of. So that basically means involuntarily admitted. So we didn't get to make the choice. And then when the doctors and nurses come around, or if they call you up to the desk, or however they do it, and say, okay, Justin, I have blank and blank, the names of whatever the medications are, if that's what they're having you do, and they would like you to do. And so if a person says, no, I don't want admitted, but they need admitted, that pink slip, so involuntarily admitted, and then saying, no, I'm not taking this medication. I refuse. It's taken me a minute to get there, but that's when we're talking about it's hard being on the outside and trying to help. And the help could seem so basic, so easy, so it's like, oh, okay, so what if I do this, what about these seven other things? Well, why don't we just focus on this one thing here? Because maybe these seven other things aren't going to happen if we focus on this one thing. And that's the hard part that I'm going through as a human being of like begging an individual, like, please, 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 you're going to make this much easier on yourself. Please, please take your medication if they're offering it. If they're offering it, it means you need it. And right, if you want to get out and get back into into the real world, right? That's going to be the quickest way to do it, is to go along with the protocol. Like, I don't like that I'm here, but I'm here. I'm gonna, I guess I need to take some medication. So I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna go to the therapy. And I was told when I was in my inpatient stay, right? So like for insurance purposes, I don't know if this is a thing. They were just trying to get people to go to the art therapy or regular therapy. Uh, the therapist, they would say that, they would take attendance at each therapy. If it was art therapy, they would say, "Oh, okay," and then you would sign your name that you were there, and then that would all get turned in at some point. Apparently, at least that's what we were told. It would get turned into insurance, and then that would make insurance see that we really needed the help, and we went along with the program. We went along with what we were being asked to do. And so there could be more coverage of insurance if we would, the more therapy sessions we would go to, the more that the insurance would cover. Again, I don't know if that's a thing. That's what we were told. And when I was in my inpatient stay. And so I mean, I think I missed a couple of them, but needless to say, it's hard to hear a person who dearly needs some needs some help beyond what that they're doing themselves, and then they're continuing to be combative, and like, nope, I'm here against my will, and there's this thing there. Maybe it's something legal, maybe it's I don't know. And so for me being on the outside, I'm thinking, please, 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 can you take your medication, please? And the person just hanging up the phone. And that's hard for anybody, but it's really hard for me because I can almost teleport myself back in time when I was there. And I'm like, wow, I'm glad I did what I did. But I didn't know any better. I didn't know any other choices. And again, I'm very glad that I did go along with the program, swallow my pride, swallow my ego. So for anybody that's out there that's being asked for help, somebody may have an inpatient stay, whether they are pink slipped, meaning they're admitted involuntarily, or if they're voluntarily, you know, it, we just want our people, want everybody to be healthy and safe and prosperous. And so I know you'll do it if you're ever in that position. But it's a tough position to be in when there's not a lot of cooperation. It's just very hard. So this was a deep show, deep episode. It's real life. I'm living it. I've lived it. It's a lot of people living it and have lived it and know somebody, that a loved one, or they know somebody who has spent some amount of time being observed and all that, and the medication and all those things. So all we can do as humans is help. We help the best way we can. That's all we can do. So if you're ever reached out to for help, try your best. And that's all we can do, is try our best. We can't make people think the way we want to. We can't make people do things like that. It's just more saying, well, there's more pros than cons if you do this. And man, just, hoping for a miracle. Just hoping for a miracle. It's hard. So thank you for joining us on this show, this episode. You can give us a thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share, reshare, repost. Uh, Pull out your phone if you're watching or listening on your phone. Share the Voices for Voices podcast with those contacts and connections, and just let them know they can find all of our shows wherever they get podcasts, just like you. You're able to get this show as well as all our past shows and all of our future shows where you get your podcasts. And we are going to reach and help 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. And that's up to God. You don't have to be a believer to watch or listen to our show. I just know we all need a little help sometimes. So let's just be there for our fellow human. Can we do that? Thank you. We'll see you on the next episode of the Voices for Voices podcast and TV show. Until that time, if we can celebrate the voices of the people across the world, as well as be a voice for not only ourselves, but others that may also need their voice to be shared. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.